Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Icey Cast with myself, John McKellar of Icebox Glasgow, and of course, the head of Icebox, Jamie McDermott. Jamie, how are you doing?
I'm not bad. I'm not bad. How are you, mate?
I'm all right, man. What I was going to say actually, did you see the Fallout TV show's trailer yet?
I did. It looked good. I thought it looked good.
Yeah, I'm quite excited about it. I think it's coming out in a couple of weeks, and so far so good in terms of what we've seen of the show. Obviously, we talked quite extensively about Fallout the other week when we were doing the letter F. Tonight we're doing names of games, the letter G. Um, Before we get into that, though, what are the latest updates from Xbox Glasgow?
And there's no money, mate. Actually, no money at all. I've just been writing away for the Bloodbath Burlesque stuff. I've had to fucking churn out a lot of storylines and restart and then get rid of it and restart and get rid of it and get restart and get rid of it. But I've like we've got one now essentially. I can't even like tell anybody what it is because the whole point is we need to tease it. You need to buy a ticket. You need to see the show to find out what the actual thing is.
Yeah,
It is. It's going to be part watch video, uh, part theatre, part live burlesque performance. So it's quite exciting stuff. Uh, but that's been more difficult than I thought it was. Like writing stuff for a live audience, essentially writing fucking theatre things, is a lot more difficult. You have to change like everything. I think that's what I didn't get the first few times that I wrote it. I started writing it anyway. That some of the stuff I'm like, no, I don't think I can do this. I don't think this will work in front of people sitting there actually watching it, and possibly being able to interact with it. Almost comes across as you have to write it a wee bit. I don't know, just a wee bit more fun, a wee bit cheesier. It'll be good. Be good fun though. I'm still hopeful of getting a summer release on that late summer. So that will be hopefully the short will be the first thing they see. Which again we're working on just now. By the time this comes out, no, this will be out tonight. Actually, this will be out now, John. This will
it's
be out
coming
now.
out. Yeah, it's supposed to be live, but once again, Facebook has fucked us, so it's being pre-recorded, but it's only being pre-recorded by like 5 minutes. Like it's going to go up on Facebook straight
Yeah,
away as soon as only to come back half Facebook next week, but we'll get to that toward the end of the episode.
yeah,
But yeah, like we are planning to get together to start work on the short between the two of us through this coming week, which is going to be cool. Um, but yeah, like I wanted to touch on the bloodbath burlesque comments that you made there because you've mentioned how difficult it's been,
yeah. It has been
and
quite difficult.
I was curious about that because you've written and produced similar things before in the Icebox before. It was closed, but it was obviously much smaller scale.
Yeah,
But what's so different about this? I was going to ask.
I think certainly with the Xbox ones we did before, the Xbox ones are pretty rushed and half-assed. They worked out. Like we done two two full ones and a kind of bit one, but the two full ones worked out really well on the night. But they could have went either way. You know what I mean? They were both of them were a ballhead away from being fucking disasters, and they just managed to be really kind of good and really enjoyable tonight. They were just fun crowd as well. We done it in front of, but like it's essentially trying to negate any risks with this one. I need to look at it from all angles, for watching it and writing it to make sure there's no visible plot holes. There's nothing. Plot holes is fine because it's kind of theatre as long as it's entertaining. The main thing is fucking it has to be entertaining. It has to catch people's eye and it has to keep them kind of involved with it, and it has to be scary. The good thing is jump scares, that kind of thing. Everything's on the table now, John, because it's done in front of the live audience. Like
Yeah.
everything is on the fucking table now. I'm not a big fan of cheap jump scares and stuff, but when it's live, my job is to try and get some frights out of the audience. I'm going to go for frights out of the audience. So, yeah, this should be quite fun. Scoping out a couple of venues over the next couple of weeks. I'm actually going to one in the Gallagate. I fucking forget the name of the place, but there's a big burlesque kind of show coming up on the 5th. That few years I'm going to go to, and it's It used to be where Wild Cabaret is. That's on the Gallagate. It's got a new name now. I'm actually not sure what it is, but there's quite a good burlesque night. Anybody is welcome. I think it's £10 or £15 a ticket. You should go if anybody's free on that Friday night. Please do turn up.
What Friday night is it?
It's Friday the 5th April.
That might be free.
Yeah, it'll be a good show, that one. There's definitely a few years going to it, I think. There's a few folk that you'll know for, like, certainly burlesque and cabaret folk that used to go to shows at Icebox and that'll definitely be there too. But I want to scope the layout. If it's the same layout that used to have in the old place, Wild Cabaret, then it will definitely be a place that I might be interested in putting on this show because it's got quite a big square layout. It's table set up. It looks very kind of. It looks the way a cabaret and burlesque should look. It's got a nice big stage. It's got curtains and stuff. All of that stuff is going to be needed for the live show that we're putting on. That's something really to look forward to for the folks here. We'll tell everybody on our show when it gets released, on our pages as well when it gets released. Hopefully we can announce it on one of these podcasts before it actually goes out as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if not this one, then definitely the upcoming new podcast that we're going to be doing, the Fright or Flight.
absolutely,
we'll probably, I would assume that we're probably going to cover Bloodbath Burlesque along with all the short films and the feature quite extensively on that show, while also talking about other horror stuff. Like we'll do a watch along of a movie, or we'll talk about influences of yours in terms of what's helped you make that film or that particular project that we're working on at any given time.
I think
So it'll be quite an
we're
interesting
quite an
show.
exciting time for horror in general. It's like everybody thought it did. Obviously, horror had come back onto the scene, started becoming very popular again. It never truly went away, but it started getting very mainstream kind of buzz about it as well. And it was
The
getting used in
Blumhouse
lots
stuff,
of media.
the Blumhouse stuff became quite formulaic, I think, after a while, didn't it?
Some of it's terrible now, but
Mm.
every so often you still get a really good one for them. They seem to be, which is quite disappointing. They've been doing the whole churn out stuff, quite low budget, make a lot of money back because they've got a good name. Like that Imaginary and a few ones before it they're all pretty dire. That one at a haunted fucking swimming pool. Jesus Christ, just don't go near the swimming pool. Just don't go near it. You know what I mean? Jump in. There's no fear there. There's a few ones like that that have just been widely derided online by critics that I kind of like, critics that I generally agree with when they're looking at stuff. So
I'll tell you one horror film that's showing just now that I saw a trailer for that I'm quite excited about. Is that film Late Night with the Devil?
Oh,
Did you see
that looks
that?
good. That looks good.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for that on YouTube. It looks quite interesting. I'm going to probably go see that at some point.
Is it a Shudder? It's a Shudder, isn't it? Is it a Shudder?
I think it's from Shudder. Aye,
it's free Shudder, but it's a cinema release. Aye.
The
thing is,
I
it's
think
like
that's kind of
horror's just everywhere. It's through all mediums. It's you've got a lot of horror. A lot of horror's just getting made for streaming. It's just getting made for like Amazon Prime, stuff like that. Shudder. You've got all these different channels. You've got horror comics become popular again. Horror books are getting really popular. Again, I don't think they were ever no popular, but they're certainly having a renaissance that seems to be lasting. There's a lot of shit out there. Like I'm not a big fan of your fucking Winnie the Pooh type stuff, but there is a place for it. And if it gets more people interested in horror just in general, and then they can start to look at some of the better avenues of it, then so be it. If Winnie the Pooh entices them in, then fuck it. That's what we have to do, John. So I think it's a good time for horror. I think we've kind of jumped on it at a good time as well.
Yeah, now we just have to make the stuff, which is going to be the hard part, but also the fun part. A film I saw the other day that's not a horror film, but that I really enjoyed was Ricky Stenicki on Amazon Prime.
I've still not seen it.
That film with John Cena and Zac Efron.
Yep,
I thought it was fantastic. It was really funny, and it was a pretty good story as well.
I'm going to it's not like it's a slapstick comedy, is it no kind of thing?
It's definitely got some slapstick elements. Yeah, John Cena's character is just fucking. It's as if somebody wrote that character specifically tailored to my sense of humor.
Right,
So I
right.
loved it. I loved it. My growing appreciation of Zac Efron continues as well because he's kind of the straight man of the group.
Right, okay.
Um, so he plays the straight man in that film, and he's good at it. But John Cena was fantastic. Ricky Stenicki was definitely a thumbs up for me.
Well, I see, I'm going to throw you a wee curveball here. Something that you should definitely watch Roadhouse. See the remake of Roadhouse.
Right? Yeah.
It's fucking amazing. Like it's one of the best work films ever. Like it's funny.
Oh, right, okay.
Like it's just everything about it. I loved it. The action scenes are excellent. I thought the comedy in it was really, really well done. The characters are really good. Even like Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor plays himself. He's
Right,
himself. They've basically told him, you need to go in there, you're the baddie, act like a drugged up fucking arsehole that wants to fight everybody. And mate, it works perfectly. He's like a James Bond
right.
baddie. He's like a total
Okay.
indestructible monster in it.
Mhm.
I would
Interesting.
say, if you want something that just you just want to have a good time, it's pure popcorn, pure entertainment film. Watch people just getting slapped about and kicked in the face and fucking punched through
Mhm.
tables. That then Roadhouse remake or reimagining, as they've called it,
Very
is definitely
interesting
one to watch.
comments there, man. What I've seen of it does not make me inclined to watch it, but I'll give it a go and see what I think,
Yeah,
and I'll report
absolutely.
back. Um, Beetlejuice 2 is real. It's happening.
That
Did
is
you
real.
see the
That is
trailer?
real.
It was only a small
Yep.
teaser, but the juice is loose, mate. I can't wait. Beetlejuice is one of my favorite movies.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it because I think they've kept the feel of Beetlejuice to it,
Mhm.
like, and especially Michael Keaton and Keaton Thingman in it as well. Getting a couple of the other actors back,
Yeah,
they had to do that to make it. You know, you couldn't have
yeah.
anybody else play Beetlejuice apart from Michael Keaton.
As soon
There's
as
no way.
I saw Catherine O'Hara in
That's it. Catherine O'Hara's
the trailer,
fucking
I was like, "Yep,
fantastic.
yep, I'm in. I'm there."
So
Let's
I
move
think
on
that'll be a cinema
to
one.
definitely. Yeah, we should probably hit that together and do a full podcast episode on it someday. Anywho, let's move on to names of games, mate. It's the letter G, and you wanted to start this week with Ghouls and Ghosts, which, if I'm pulling up the right one, is also known as Dai Makaimura.
That's it.
And it's a side-scrolling platform game by Capcom from
That's the one.
1988. Tell me about Ghosts and Ghouls.
Like Ghosts and Ghouls is one of my favourite games. I found it was frustrating because, like, spoiler alert, when you get to the end of Ghosts and Ghouls, you need to start it again. Like, so you get to the end of it and you think, I've won it, and all you get is, like, I think it's a good suit of armour or a sword, and you need to start it again a wee bit stronger right for the start.
Right?
Uh,
Oh man,
Oh no,
really?
that was frustrating, mate. See, as a kid playing that, uh, and like having the because at the time there was no fucking Facebook and all that. We had nobody really to spoil shit for us. So
Hmm.
uh, all you had was word on the street, John. Word on the street. But it's a I like it, but it's one of the most efficiently frustrating games I've ever played in my life. It's essentially two hits and you're out. So the first hit takes your armor off after you find the armor. Second hit, well, three hits and you're out. I think, or is it? Where there, John? Where there? My memory is fight me. Two hits and then you die. So the first hit
Right,
strips your armor. Second hit,
right.
your wee naked guy kills you and you turn into a wee bag of bones. And it's a really fast paced side scroller where you're just shooting fucking swords and wee bombs at baddies that kind of rush onto you. Have you never? You must have played it, surely.
No, I think that it's slightly before my time, to be honest. Um, like I didn't really start playing games properly until about 94-ish. You
Ah,
know, like
right.
I played Streets of Rage and I played Ninja Turtles on the NES when I was like 2 or 3.
Well, I mean, there was a
Like,
Super Ghouls and Ghosts '91, which was
right.
pretty much the same thing as far as I remember. So,
Hmm. I don't
uh,
think I ever played it. I never really played anything horror wise until much later on, to be honest.
right, okay,
It was mostly your kind of platformy or side scrolly beat 'em up type stuff like your Streets of Rage
right.
and your Ninja Turtles.
Well,
Um,
this is like Graveyards of Rage, mate.
mhm.
So.
All
pretty
right,
much the
okay.
same thing, just with zombies and shit.
Yeah. Ghosts and Ghouls and Ghosts. Maybe I wonder if that's been ported to modern consoles.
It probably has. In fact, I see there's an Ultimate Ghosts and no, Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection 2021 was released.
It's apparently part of the Capcom Home Arcade console that was
Right,
released in
okay.
2019, but it doesn't seem to be on modern PlayStation or Xbox or anything
No,
like
you
that.
can get it for
I
the
wonder if
Nintendo
it's
Switch and you get it for the PC.
I wonder if it's on Steam.
It probably will be.
Ghosts
I remember
and
this. Do you
Ghouls.
remember the RoboCop game where it was quite difficult to shoot up diagonally?
Was that RoboCop versus Terminator, or was it just RoboCop?
No, this is the original RoboCop.
I never played that. I know what
All
one you're
right,
talking about, but I
it's
played RoboCop versus Terminator,
right. Well,
which I
Ghouls and
think
Ghosts had
had
the same
similar
kind of
issues, to be
frustration.
honest.
What's that?
hmm I think that RoboCop versus Terminator had similar issues.
I think, aye. See, it was crying, but like certainly Ghouls and
Like
Ghosts
you could
for
shoot
me had the
directly up
same
the
thing.
way, but you couldn't really shoot diagonally.
Yeah, and if you like, you shoot where you face essentially. So
Yeah.
you have to, you can't shoot up diagonally unless you either jump
hmm
that way or you have to actually stope
Yeah.
and look that way.
Aye.
Ghouls and
hmm
Ghosts had the same kind of frustration with it as well. Sometimes you
Right.
would try and shoot, or certainly I would. I might have just been fucking terrible at the game. You would try and shoot, and you would jump that way, and you
hmm
jump right into like one of these skeleton hawk type things as well. It was
Right.
a great game. It just seemed to go on forever. It was like a forever graveyard.
Aye.
Zombies would constantly pop up out of ground, and you had to just like shoot your wee daggers at them and just avoid them at all costs. I just remember it being so fucking frustrating, but loving it. I didn't
Yeah.
actually know that Ghouls and Ghosts, the one I'm talking about, was actually the sequel to Ghosts and Goblins, which
Do
is
you know, I was
the
just
first
about to
one.
ask you about that because I've just found Ghouls and Ghosts on Steam. It's only £1.70.
Jesus.
So I might pick us both up a copy of that on Steam.
I mean, it's,
Um,
it's, it's a fantastic
and
game,
it
but
says,
it'll
yeah,
destroy you, John. You'll be so angry with it.
it says on it, it's a moonlit night 3 years after the events of Ghosts and Goblins. The
Right,
powerful
okay.
Lucifer rises from the demon realm, throwing the world into chaos and stealing the princess's soul. The heroic knight Arthur must once again travel to the demon realm to save the princess and restore peace to the world. Now you can play two-player co-op, which
Right.
is fucking awesome. We should do that at some point.
And we could do that for Fight or Flight. It's a
We
horror.
should actually, aye.
It's a horror game, mate. So,
hmm We absolutely should. So
that's my
those,
first. That's definitely going up there on
no,
the list.
perfect, man. My first one is Grand Theft Auto. Um,
A classic.
I know that Grand Theft Auto 5 has become such a massive multi-billion-dollar media fucking
Yeah.
just Grand Theft Auto 5 is a franchise in itself. And there are the classics like GTA 3, which I did like, in Vice City, which I also enjoyed kind of fanning about on, but I never really finished any of them. The only two Grand Theft Auto games I've ever finished were GTA 1 and GTA London, and they're the two that I want to focus on.
Right. Okay.
I remember playing Grand Theft Auto 1 with my brother, Ross, years and years ago. Would probably only have been a year or two after it came out, and it's got such a cracking vibe to it, man. Like it had this feel of danger about it. It was like, oh, this is unlike any video game you've ever played. It's like almost pornographic in the way that it sort of presents itself in its violence. And it was kind
Right.
of like you felt a bit naughty playing it, you know what I mean? And it had that kind of glorious top-down view and the janky mission structure and the god awful controls, but everything that when you put everything about it together, including its amazing soundtrack, which was a staple of the series even as far back as the first game, there's just something super special about the first game for me. Um, I was watching a guy doing a kind of talk about it, and it showed you obviously gameplay footage, and I
Yeah.
was just like, man. And I haven't played Grand Theft Auto 1 since then. And I was just like, man, that has just transported me all the way back to like 1998, 99, or whenever it would have been that we played that. I feel as if I'm sitting in my old bedroom at my childhood home,
Right.
like playing that game right now. Like it's just seared into my memory. Um, like the missions where you have to drive the cars like I don't know if is it oil trucks you have to drive and you have to like weave in and out of traffic, and if you bump into it and you just and it's super fucking hard to get there before the time runs out. And also really, really hard to get there without bumping into anything. You have to do all kinds of missions like that where you have to transport bombs about, but it's like super, super hard to get there in time or to avoid like blowing it up by bumping into shit. It's so infuriating, but I just have such fond memories of that game. Um,
Did you complete it then?
and my brother and
Aye.
I played through the first game, and we also played through London.
Right.
Probably alongside, it would have been us and my mate Thomas when we were kids. We all kind of just played together. Um, and obviously the expansion, which is one of the probably the first examples of an expansion pack ever being released, GTA London, which was set during like the kind of the 60s in London, and it had that whole kind of "you're brown bread" and all that instead of saying "you're dead," and it was
Yeah.
you had the mods running about and all that, and it was just such a crazy fucking game. But that was mechanically very similar, obviously, to Grand Theft Auto One, but
Yeah.
stylistically so much of a departure. Um, and it was so cool. It was really such a cool game. Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto 2, I didn't like. Grand Theft Auto 3, I never finished, but I did play. Vice City, I played even less, but I did enjoy what I played it. San Andreas, I think I got off the first island and then I stopped playing it, and I haven't played any since then.
Aye. It's all kind of online world shit now. So
Yeah, I feel like
I think
Rockstar
that
have
it's lost a wee bit because of that.
absolutely, and Rockstar have actually fucked other properties of theirs by focusing so much obsessively on Grand Theft Auto's online component. Like Red Dead Redemption 2
Right.
was completely abandoned, and I feel like that world has so much more to offer. Like, but they don't care because all the money is being made off the back of Grand Theft Auto 5.
Right. Okay.
Uh, I feel like an LA Noir sequel on modern consoles would be a fucking goldmine. I think it would be such a great game. Um, so yeah, I think that they've sort of fucked themselves and also the people who love their games. It's
I
a
guess
shame
it's
because
probably the
obviously,
money in it.
aye, it's all about money, which is a shame. But they're certainly not alone, and they're probably not even the most egregious example of a game company that of doing
Yeah.
that. Um,
Capcom.
Ubisoft comes to mind. Ah, Ubisoft immediately springs to mind for me.
Yeah. There's a
Um,
few. There's a few that spring to
yeah,
mind.
aye. But I think obviously we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that Grand Theft Auto One was developed by a team up in Dundee in Scotland.
That's
It's
right.
a
Yeah.
Scottish export
Yeah.
alongside Lemmings.
Yeah. It's one of the most popular exports. That whiskey.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Terminal simulator and alcohol.
Heroin.
Good times. So yeah, Grand Theft Auto for the PlayStation One
Cool.
and Grand Theft Auto London, the expansion. They really gave me fond memories. And like I say, I've dipped in and out of the series a wee bit in the earlier stages of the like in the PlayStation 2. But I've got next to zero interest in Grand Theft Auto nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would rather play Red Dead Redemption 2 than play Grand Theft Auto 5.
Right. Right. Okay. Right. That's high. That's quite a bold assessment. But
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
right.
it's just no my kind of thing, man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's no.
But
I
mate, you
get
can
the
rob a
appeal.
bank with a helicopter. I don't.
I do get the appeal,
Yeah.
but it's just no for me. Like, I prefer stuff like Metal Gear, where there's a more interesting story
Yeah.
and more interesting mechanics that try to be a bit more daring and try to do something a bit different instead of just being the same loop
Yeah.
every
Try to be a
single
wee bit more
time.
inventive with it. Aye, that's fair. That's
Aye,
fair.
yeah, that's why I like stuff like Death Stranding. I like stuff like Metal Gear Solid. I like stuff like Red Dead Redemption because there aren't many westerns, like Western video games.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I would go with Grand Theft Auto and Grand Theft
Fair.
Auto London for me for my first one. You wanted to move on next to Gauntlet, which, if I'm not mistaken, is a 1985 arcade hack and slash game.
It is. It is. It's a kind of top-down dungeon crawler type thing. Uh, Typical kind of fantasy fare. You can pick one of four. So it's Thor the Warrior, as my name here is, Merlin the Wizard, which is no a unique wizard name, Thyra the Valkyrie. I think I'm saying Thyra right. Fuck knows. Or Questor the Elf. It starts to get. It's like they went with Thor and Merlin, then they're like, let's just make up the other two names. Fuck it. Let's just. Who cares what they are? So basically, you pick one of the four characters. Each character's got a different trait. I always went the hack and slash one. The warrior guy, as usual with these games, strongest hand-to-hand combat. The wizard, most powerful. He had magic, so he could throw spells. The Valkyrie character had the best armor, therefore the best life, best stamina. And the elf was the fastest to move. I always found the elf quite hard to control because it actually moved too fast through the Maeve. Like Gauntlet itself it's quite a fast wee game. I found the controls quite overtly fucking responsive to what way you're going to move. So going a faster character for me was just crazy, absolutely mental. Gauntlet's one of these games as well. It keeps going on, and it just keeps getting tougher and tougher. There's some points where essentially you knock down one wall and you're just flooded by bad guys. So basically, you're looking down, top down, and it's like a maze scenario, and you break down walls to get into different bits. You need to collect food for health and all that kind of stuff as well, but you don't see what's behind the wall until you break it down a lot of times. Like if there's no spaces, you won't see what's there. But if you break down the wall, everything will just fucking charge you. I remember this was also a coin eater, so this was in the arcades. I think it actually hit the UK arcades first. Let me check that. Yeah, UK, October the 15th, 1985. And then after
Was it
that,
created by? Was it created by a British-based team?
Atari.
Right. Okay. So it
So,
wouldn't have been British-based then, would it? I think
no.
that's Japanese. It was conceived by Atari game designer Ed Logg, apparently.
Yep, okay.
So I
Through
don't
what I
think
can
Ed
see
Logg is
here,
Japanese.
through what I can see here, it was UK, October 15th, 1985. And then it hit other, like, it hit the US November 1985. And then it hit Japan February 1986. So actually
Right.
hit them later,
Mhm.
which is
Looking at the
strange.
programmer, looking at the designer and the programmer and the artists, they all seem to be British names, or at least English language names. So I don't think that it was
I
designed
see,
in Japan. I
I
think it
see
must have
that.
been developed by
Aye.
like a British-based Atari team.
It's Bob Flanagan.
Aye,
It's Alan Murphy. Aye, Susan McBride. It is
it's
very
pretty
Western
Irish.
names there, mate.
Yeah, that sounds very Irish or Scots Irish or something.
So I loved it. I loved the setup for the actual arcade system as well. It was set up like, do you remember the Turtles, the actual stand-up arcade game? And it had the four
Mhm.
wee bits that you could play on. It was set up exactly like
Yeah.
that, essentially. So you could play either four characters and you just stood. So you could essentially play like the fours or Stone and Rune It, which I think's cracking. That's kind of what you want for any of these kind of stand-up kind of games. But I loved it. It's a very nostalgic game for me. It's another one that I'm no 100% sure if I completed it. Like I don't think because there's no big bosses or anything in it. The mazes
Mhm.
just they're just constant. They get faster, they get harder. There's more baddies in them. So I'm no sure if I go to like the very last maze. I would assume that I did because I played it fucking
Yeah.
constantly. So But I'm trying to see if there's anything that tells you about the actual amount of levels that there is. Nah, it would take me too long to fucking read through this. I'm just going to say here in front of the people that are listening that I did fucking complete it, John. Just going to say it right now that I did complete it. Ignore everything I said before, but maybe no.
Who are they? Who are they? Like argue?
That's it. That's it. Now
You know what I
just
mean? Like
sit and listen.
how? Aye.
Like I
All
really,
right, man.
I thought it was great. It's it's one of these games that it it's addictive. You would play it up into the wee ears. I actually remember kind of playing it up into the wee
Mhm.
ears. You'd got your pulses and play it there, or they'd come up your house and you'd play it, and you could just constantly play it right through the fucking night.
Yeah.
Very difficult game. I remember there was a death character in it who you can only beat by using certain magic against them. I think it was like potions that you collected. If you didn't have that, you just had to essentially get the fuck out of his way because he would only disappear or go off screen once he took a certain amount of energy off you. But a certain amount of energy would probably kill you if you only had like half life left. You're dead if he touches you. So, uh,
Mhm.
but I do remember the one thing that I always remember about it is there's no end of level bosses. It's just you get through one level and then you're just fucking flung right into another level.
That's
A lot
kind
of
of
games have also
unusual for
touched it.
games of that era.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Back then, the final boss of each level was like that was how you measured your kind of that was the level. The level was you work your way up to the boss and then you
That's
clear
it.
him, and then you move on to the next boss. It's
Yep.
very
And then this
strange that
one, it
that
was
would
just you
be
moved on
missing.
to another level that was faster and faster and harder.
Yeah, just the way you like it, Jamie.
It's faster and
Um,
harder, mate.
One thing that I'm reading here is interesting. The creator of Gauntlet got threatened with a lawsuit because
Right.
this guy John Palovich, he claimed that the game was ripped off for something called Dandy, which came out for the
Okay.
Atari 8-bit, and he published that 2 years earlier. They settled it though. Um, they apparently awarded the guy with a Gauntlet game machine.
Right. Okay.
Aye, that's pretty strange.
And he's
Um,
credited with special thanks, yeah, through 1986. Right,
aye,
that kind of means that they did copy him then, let's face it.
yeah, aye, aye. It's pretty mad at it. It's like somebody going, "Oh, I didn't steal your song, but I'll add you as a co-writer
Cool,
just to
right,
shut
yeah,
you up."
even though you've got nothing
Aye,
to do with it legally, yeah,
aye. Um,
that's mental.
uh,
Yeah,
so my next, sorry.
yeah, I'm just sorry. But when I clicked onto that as well,
Hey,
I've also seen that there's an expansion pack, or there was an expansion
right.
pack. This is for the original that was released in
How does that
1987.
work?
Was that? It's
How does
Deeper
that work?
Dungeons. It was released as an extra game.
Right, but is it not an arcade though?
No, I mean, you had it on Amstrad, Atari ST, Commodore 64, and the Spectrum.
Right.
Now, originally, it was the Spectrum that I had it on. So
Hmm.
essentially, they released one called the Deeper Dungeons,
Yeah.
which has got 512 new levels. So that tells you how many
Fucking
levels are on
hell!
the original. So it's constant. It just keeps going. You're
My
basically
God,
aye, it's crazy.
the developers for that game must have been so many amphetamines. It was unreal.
I mean,
Just
aye.
fucking just programmed 412 new levels. Shit, we
Let's
better
steal.
add another
No,
100.
no, what they've said is let's steal that guy's idea and let's just make it bigger. Let's just make
Yeah,
Mary.
they've just went, we can't be arsed making any new levels. Let's just go through like Nintendo Power or something like that and steal everything that's on there.
So I
Like,
that's
that guy's got a great idea.
let's take it, and we'll just
Aye.
give him like 1 of your games.
Aye, we'll just be like, here, you can have a freebie as a result. But yeah, I wanted to move on to a game that I know my brother would appreciate, Gran Turismo.
Right,
Specifically the original, the 1997 original for PlayStation, the real driving simulator. Um, my brother and I used to play that quite a lot. And again, it was a film? No, it was a game that, again, it was a game that I
right,
thought
okay.
had an absolutely banging soundtrack. Um, it was so good. And it was considered like for a long time to be the best racing game or driving game ever made, and quite rightly so. I think for its time, it was super groundbreaking, man. It's like the the number of cars that you could like race, and the detail that was put in each car, even in down to like its specifications and stuff, was crazy. Um, it was like a really fast paced, energetic driving game that was unlike anything else.
Yeah,
If you think about like other driving games that were about then. Grand Theft Auto came out the same year, as an example, and Grand Theft Auto is this janky top-down kind of game where like the driving is just so it's sketchy at best. And then
Right.
you fire up this real driving simulator, this Gran Turismo, and it's just another ball game completely, man. Like there's been nothing like it ever since, quite frankly. Um, as consoles and as games have got more and more technologically advanced, I feel like there's still nothing that feels like Gran Turismo. And I guess it's partially nostalgia talking, but even like Gran Turismo 2, 3 onwards, none of them hit me like the first game did. So I think that Gran Turismo is one of, if not the best driving game ever made.
Right. So with these games,
Uh,
did you have to buy to upgrade your car or buy new cars and stuff? Or do you just pick the car?
it's a good. I can't quite remember actually. Let me have a look.
Because I remember a load at the time had that dynamic where if you won
Yeah.
races, you won money and you had to buy stuff for your car.
hmm I know that so you get like driver's licenses, like you get new licenses in order to participate in different levels of simulation
Right,
mode.
right, okay.
Um, I think credits, yeah. So you would unlock kind of money through winning championships, and then you could use the credits that you got to purchase additional vehicles,
Right.
parts, and tuning as well. And it, like I'm just reading here, it features 140 cars and 11 racetracks. That's not including reversed versions of each of the tracks, which for its time was just so insane.
That's a lot.
Like how many games in 1997 were bringing that kind of content?
Yeah, that's a
It's
lot.
completely mental. Like nowadays, you would probably have to pay extra for like half of them.
Yeah.
But
It would
no,
be
and
microtransaction content
it would be
essentially.
microtransaction DLC. Whereas in Gran Turismo back in '97, you get the lot. You know, you don't have to pay extra for mere motors. Um, and each track was so crazily detailed. Just everything felt super realistic for its
Yeah.
time. And I don't think that any driving game has proportionally, I guess, had that kind of impact ever since. Like nowadays with PS5, you've got the adaptive triggers, so it's like, oh, it feels like I'm driving a Formula One car, but the overall vibe and the feel just don't compare for me.
Aye, it's not the same.
Yeah, I remember my brother's copy of Gran Turismo 2, which I barely played the second game, but I remember my brother's copy. Like you could scratch the one of the sides of the disc, and you could smell it, and it smelled like burning rubber, which was a bit weird.
Is that no? Did he not just melt? Did he not just melt a bit of disc maybe?
Possibly, actually, you might have just left the disc on the radiator. Like either I'm having a stroke or this game's fucked. But yeah, Gran Turismo, I really enjoyed the first game.
Right, excellent.
Um, you wanted to talk next about Ghostbusters, the 1984 Commodore 64 version, I believe.
See, I had I remember the 1986 Commodore one because I had that first, but the one that I played more was actually the Master System one, which I mean,
Mhm.
it's not that far off it if you actually look at the gameplay a bit. Uh, like you thought yours was the real driving simulator, mate. Ghostbusters was the real driving simulator, but it had ghosts as well. So
Right.
and I had to also buy the kit. No, I'm not talking about like drugs. I'm talking about actual kit to fight ghosts.
You're back on
Uh,
the heroin again, Jamie.
Bang the heroin again, mate. You get it's incredibly Moorish. Just I've not been off heroin. So
That's
right
fair.
at the start, I think
Same with
one of
crack.
them, I think
Crack's
it's,
fucking delicious.
I think it's like one of the main characters. I think it's like Poor Egon or something. Has to they talk about me had to remortgage his house, and then you have to use the money for the house remortgage to
Mhm.
buy basically your team members' kit. You need to buy the car as well. You get a choice of 5
Right.
cars, and one of them is the classic Ghostbusters car, or you might opt for a shitter car so you can get better traps or better
Mhm.
proton packs. So essentially, it's a pay off at the start or
Yeah.
a trade off. What you want to do? It's top down kind of map. New looking at it, like again, we keep talking about nostalgia, but nostalgia clouds my memory a lot of these and makes it in my brain look hell of a lot better then you look at screen grabs that you're like, oh fuck no, that's it there. That's exactly what I'm thinking. It's no as fantastical as my brain reminded me of it. But it still looks great. Essentially, you're looking down at the city. You need to drive when one of the wee buildings lights up. Essentially, that's where the ghosts are. So you have to drive to it. And you actually do that's like a level itself as you driving there, avoiding other cars and avoiding ghosts as you drive there. And then when you get there, you need to capture the ghosts outside the building. And
Let
for
me get this
every
straight, right? Let me get
right,
this straight. So you have to avoid ghosts to go and capture ghosts.
to go and capture ghosts, I think as
Why
far
could
as
you
I
not just
remember, you
capture all the
can.
ghosts on the way there?
Yeah, as far as I remember, you can actually also like shoot the ghosts for your car. I think you can.
Right.
But I tended not to when I was playing
Fair
it.
enough.
I just you want to go
Big,
there because you get more
big shite
money.
bag.
I was a shite bag mate, and I couldn't drive. I shouldn't be even in a car. I was like 9 or 10. Fucking stupid.
Yeah. I still can't drive. Have you ever seen me
I
play
mean,
LA
it's good.
Noir? You would see how bad I'm at driving, and even in video games.
Basically, you keep doing this. You make money for every successful one you get until you get to, I think, the second last level. You need to fight the Stay Puft Man, but you need to buy a certain piece of equipment to be able to defeat him. When you defeat him, you can make your way inside the building that he's at, which is like the second last level, which is the only time you're actually inside the building. All the rest of them, you
Right.
fight the ghosts outside the buildings, right in the front.
Is that the level with where the screen grab
It's upstairs. You need to go upstairs,
for this
essentially.
episode?
Yeah.
You know how this episode we've got the screen grab
Oh,
where they've
so
got
it
up
is. You've got
the stairs?
you get the three of them to be
Uh,
ghosts. Aye.
No, that's another thing. Like the fact that it's only three of them. Um, I remember, look, as is the case with a lot of the games for that era that
Uh-huh.
you've mentioned, I have never played them myself, but the Angry Video Game Nerd has reviewed a lot of them, and I remember when he did his like review, he pointed out that like one of them ain't there. I think it's Winston. Is
It's
Winston his
Winston.
name?
It's
Aye,
Winston.
yeah. And he's like,
I
"What
don't
the
I
fuck,
don't
man?"
like I don't want to say too much about it, mate, but
Yeah, aye. He's like, "What the fuck? Why is Winston not there? Are they just racist or something?" But it's weird how he's no in the game.
that
Um,
is weird. And
yeah, I remember.
the three white guys are is what you're saying, John.
Aye, aye, aye. I remember the Angry Video Game there did that review, and because he was obviously like a massive Ghostbusters fan growing up,
Yeah.
and he pointed that out at one point. Um, I played
I've
the Sega.
until you mentioned that there, I've never actually noticed that. But I guess it's like my kid
Mhm,
eyes, I wouldn't have like
mhm,
I just never even thought about it at all. But I'm looking at a
yeah,
lot of screen grabs here, and yeah, you're right.
mhm,
There's only three of them in every one, so
yeah. It's not a great look, is it?
that is not a
Um,
great look at all.
I'm trying to remember. So I played the Sega Mega Drive Ghostbusters game, which I really enjoyed, and I can't remember if Winston was in that.
I
Um,
I don't
Let me have
think
a look.
so.
Ghostbusters
Maybe
on the Mega Drive. Let's have a look. I remember like 1990 that came out. Holy shit! It's not. It's just Peter Venkman, Ray Stantz, and Egon Spengler.
yeah, yeah, it's weird. It is weird.
Where's Winston? Maybe I don't know if maybe because
Even
Ernie Hudson played him on it.
see the front
I
of the
don't know
game.
if
And on
yeah
Wikipedia, like the actual, see the graphics for the front of the game, the screen
yeah.
grab for the movie, they've just got the three of them picked out the film as
Aye,
well. So they've not
aye,
even they've
yeah.
basically whitewashed them at everything.
It's a bit dodgy that. I don't know if maybe Ernie Hudson's just been like, I don't really want to be in the game. Hopefully that's what it is, and it's
I
not
would hope
something where
that is
like
as well. It
like
must be.
my fear is immediately that some executive suit knob end has been like, oh, metrics say that people don't want to play as black people or something like that, you know what I mean? Like, would that kind of thing happen? Maybe in the 80s,
I mean, as 80s, that is true, mate.
you
It's
know?
no,
Like,
aye.
I'm pretty sure like MTV got a lot of stick because they barely ever played black artists back then. Like, you just didn't see a lot of black people on TV. And I don't know if maybe that would have extended into like video games and stuff. Like, they've just been like, I nobody wants to play as Winston. Why no? Well, for obvious reasons. you know. It's a shame
Well,
because
just like
it's a
I
shame.
don't. Oh, actually, you know what's weird? I'm seeing one screen grab, no actual screen grab. I'm seeing
Yeah.
one promotional poster for just the one out of about 30.
Hmm.
I'm looking at here,
Yeah.
and it looks like they've cut and pasted Winston into a corner here. So
Super weird, man. Oh wait a minute. Ghostbusters actor Ernie Hudson said that his kids hated the Commodore 64 version of the game, believing that it, quote, sucked. The NES port and its gameplay were negatively received. So that's on the Wikipedia. So
right,
I mean, he's maybe been like, that's maybe him trying to say, well, I'm not in it, so
I'm
why
not
would
in it.
they enjoy it? Why am I not in it? You'll have to ask them. It's sad that because you can't have any Ghostbusters without the four of them.
No, I mean
Because
you
in my
can't.
opinion, like the four of them are the Ghostbusters. Like it's poor. It's pretty poor.
I mean, like
Um,
a lot of the game wasn't like some of the game is weird because, like I said, you can pick four of your cars, and you can pick
yeah,
out of four cars, and one of them is
you can
just a
pick.
sports car. It's literally just a sports car. Why would you? Why would the
mm,
Ghostbusters be kicking
You
about
can
in a
pick
sports car?
from more. You can pick from more cars than you can Ghostbusters.
That's true. That is also
That's
weird.
batshit. That's absolutely batshit, man.
So I base
Justice
as
for
my
Big
side.
Ernie.
Ghostbusters is up there, John.
Yeah, Ernie Hudson is pretty much the best thing about every film he was in back then. Justice for Ernie Hudson, I say. Anywho, um, let's move on for Ghostbusters. My last one I wanted to touch on was the Sega Mega Drive classic side-scrolling hack and slash game Golden Axe.
Yep, fantastic. If you hadn't picked Golden Axe, I'd have had to have squeezed
Yeah,
Golden Axe in somewhere. G's been
yeah.
a strong one. G's been a strong one.
Aye, for sure, man. And there's so many that we've left out that we could have probably touched on. Hopefully, people will comment below the video, or just give us
Yeah.
a message on Facebook and give us their contributions. But
And tell
Golden
me,
Axe
John,
was the one I wanted to
was
finish on.
Ernie Hudson in? Did they leave him a Golden Axe as well? Or
Unfortunately, Ernie Hudson is left
motherfucker?
is unfortunately missing for Golden Axe. It was by the creators of Altered Beast and came out in 1989. And I think it's kind of probably a side-scrolling game that's very similar to Ghouls and Ghosts, to be
No,
honest.
it definitely
It's
is.
got a very similar vibe. You can
Yeah.
play as the wee dwarf guy. He's called Gilius Thunderhead. You can play as Axe Battler, a homoerotic, stereotypical Conan-like figure, with a broadsword and just the jack to the fucking gills. And you can play as Tyrus Flair, an Amazon, and you have to fight against the Death Adder's forces. And you can play, I think you can play up to two-player co-op. I think you can either play solo or you can play two-player co-op.
Yeah, I've seen this
Um,
co-op.
yeah, it's a lot of fun to play if you play co-op. I never really enjoyed playing it by myself. I think it's definitely a game that shines when you play two-player. Um, I guess they probably kind of designed it that. I think they kind of did the same with Altered Beast, to be honest.
Yeah,
It's kind of
it's a
designed
lot
to be
easier to
played.
get through.
Yeah, it's designed to be played on the couch as a duo, and it's very fun. It's very
Yeah,
fun to play. Um, it's basically based on action movies like Conan. He just wanted the guy whose name was Makoto Uchida. He wanted to basically make Conan the game, uh, and he said the idea was to come up with a double dragon that was not double dragon, um,
fair.
which is a pretty quixotic. No, it's no quixotic. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a bit of an odd thing to say because I don't
Yeah,
feel
I mean
like it is all
it
that
is
similar to Double
odd.
Dragon. I don't think it's all that similar to Double Dragon, but that's what he said. So it was originally an arcade game. Um, the Mega Drive version comes along with a new level and also a duel mode, so you can fight against each
Right.
other. But yeah, like one of the all-time classics, and that was the one I wanted to finish on.
You get to kick the shit out of fairies as well, which is quite good.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of different.
And do you know
I
jump
feel
on
like
big? jump on big chicken type things as well at points.
Aye,
It's
like your
weird.
mad steeds.
Aye.
Aye, yeah. You need to go.
They've got they've all
Aye,
the mad steeds have all got two
yeah,
legs, basically.
aye, yeah. They just kind of hop. They're like
Aye,
it's like
yep.
riding a kangaroo. um, what was I going to say there to finish off? I feel like I might be wrong, but I feel like I remember there being quite a variety of enemies
Oh, there was. There
in that
definitely
game.
was.
Like just a crazy, crazy variety. It came from the creators of the Altered Beast, so you know you're going to have a fucking crazy, crazy acid trip of a time playing it. But yeah, Golden Axe. That was my last one, and we should probably finish things up for the night because it's getting to be close to an hour in. Before we go, next week, Monday, the 1st of April, there will be no new show. We're taking the week off because we're going to record, we're going to be meeting up to record side by side the next 2 episodes, which will air the following week and the week after that.
Yeah.
What you will be able to do as of midnight, April 1st, is go to Spotify, type in IcyCast, and binge the entire podcast up to this point, starting from Christmas, I think. So everything since then, you can listen to the podcast on Spotify from April 1st. You can listen to it immediately if you become a member of our Patreon. That's patreon.com/iceboxglasgow. On April 1st, all the video will be taken off of Facebook and it will all become available on the IcyCast YouTube page.
Yep.
The IcyCast YouTube is just at IcyCast Pod, I believe.
That is aye.
Let me just check that. I'll check that again. At IcyCast Pod, at ICEYCASTPOD. Go subscribe there just now. It's the channel itself is live. None of the videos are though. But they will be as of midnight, April 1st. And that's UK time, obviously. And that will be the only place to see the video version of the show. You'll be able to get the audio version early by joining the Patreon, and the audio version will then go on to the Spotify feed. I think that's basically all the kind of ins and outs of it. Other than that, we will be doing pre-recorded shows, no longer doing it live, and we will be doing it in person.
Excellent.
So
That'd be better.
either I'll go to Jamie will come to me, we'll meet up in the middle, we'll sit down with a laptop and microphone, and we'll engage with each other and interact properly like we did back in the day, back before we had to do it this way. And it feels impersonal this way, whereas when we're doing it together in person, we have a lot more fun, I think, and it feels a lot more organic and natural because we bounce off each other really
Yeah.
well, I think. So we'll do that. So April 1st is the magical date, which is 1 week from tonight. So go follow us on YouTube at IcyCastPod. Wait for the 1st of April and then go to Spotify. If you go to Spotify on April 1st and just look for IcyCast, excuse me, you'll be able to binge the entire show up to this point while we get the next couple sorted. Follow us on Facebook as well, facebook.com/IcyCastPod, or just at IcyCastPod if you're already on Facebook. Also, obviously, follow facebook.com/IceboxGlasgow to follow the latest updates from the main page, and also Fright or Flight Promotions on Facebook. Search at Fright or Flight Promotions to keep up to date with the horror podcast that we've got coming up as well. We'll be recording at least the first episode of that in the coming week or two. Although I'm not sure if we're going to do that every week to start with, because we've got a bunch of stuff going on. We will wait and see how much time we've got going on, but we will update you on what we're going to do with that show. I think beyond that, that's about it.
Perfect.
Jamie, thanks for tonight, and I shall catch up with you soon.
No worries. See you later. See you later, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everybody.